that afflicts many, many people, and it's kind of a big deal. It can really hurt people professionally, and it really slows people down. So we're going to have a talk about it tonight. I'll give you a nice description of what it is, and read a few excerpts from a set of possible types of personality syndrome, or types of, sorry, I was reading the chat at the same time, types of imposter syndrome as it suits certain personalities. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get this going. Hi, Quirky. It's nice to see you. Thanks for letting me know about the music. Let me know if I need to turn it down even further, okay? All right. I am here with Gray and Panther so far. Hopefully we'll see Steven pop in here, because he told me he had quite a bit of an issue with it before. If not, that's okay. There's no pressure. How's everybody doing today?
Hello, everybody. Not too bad. Still making dinner.
Still making dinner? That's fun. How are you doing, Gray?
Fire bad.
Fire is bad. Unless it's controlled. Then it's fire good. Uh-oh. So, it also looks like we're getting pretty close on finishing up this art piece. I'm excited because all that's left to do is to spray it, frame it, pass it on over to the board.
Yay!
I'm excited for that. So, as I had mentioned before, imposter syndrome. It isn't technically a psychiatric diagnosis of mental illness. However, it is experienced as coexisting with depression and anxiety very frequently. So that's something that can afflict anybody who has anxiety and depression, but it won't always. Many high achievers share a dirty little secret. Deep down, they feel like complete frauds. Their accomplishments are the result of serendipitous luck. This is a psychological phenomenon known as imposter syndrome. It reflects a belief that you're an inadequate and incompetent failure despite evidence that indicates you're skilled and quite successful. This is an excerpt taken from an article on themuse.com. And apparently, and this is news to me, and if anybody has any further information that contradicts what I'm about to explain, please state so, and I will go ahead and look it up as well. I'm going to put the link in the chat. So anybody else that wants to check it out, you can. Uh-oh.
So nobody better pop into the chat with hashtag source needed, because it's there.
Alright, I've turned the music down a little bit. Is that better, Quirky? Far better. Okay, far better. Alright, the first type on the list is the perfectionist. Perfectionism and imposter syndrome often go hand in hand. Think about it. Perfectionists set excessively high goals for themselves, and when they fail to reach that goal, they experience major self-doubt and worry about measuring up. Whether they realize it or not, this group can also be control freaks, feeling like if they want something done right, they have to do it themselves. Not sure if this applies to you. Apparently I'm going to New York. Does this apply to you? No. Not sure if this applies to you. Ask yourself these questions. Have you ever been accused of being a micromanager? Do you have great difficulty delegating? Even when you're able to do so, do you feel frustrated and disappointed in the results? When you miss the insanely high mark on something, do you accuse yourself of not being cut out for your job and ruminate on it for days? And do you feel like your work must be 100% perfect 100% of the time? For this type, success is rarely satisfying because they believe they could have done better. That's neither productive nor healthy. Owning and celebrating achievements is essential if you want to avoid burnout, find contentment, and cultivate self-confidence. Learn to make.
I don't know. You think any of this describes me?
I know it describes somebody who I know, and also partially myself. I often have to do things a certain way, and if they're not done that certain way, I'm not satisfied with it. Yet I can go with the flow a lot of the time. I think it mostly
I've seen
pertains to
that.
being in my own home.
Yeah.
The
That seems like the most reasonable place for those sort of things to manifest themselves, anyways.
Yeah, I suppose. Okay, the second type is the Superwoman or Superman. Since people who experience this phenomenon are convinced they're phonies amongst real deal colleagues, they often push themselves to work harder and harder to measure up. But this is just a false cover up for their insecurities. The work overload may harm not only their own mental health, but also their relationships with others. This definitely fits me to a T.
Yeah.
And I've been working hard on not doing this anymore. Even though it's working hard to not work so hard. Not sure if this applies to you. Do you stay later at the office than the rest of your team, even past the point that you've completed that day's necessary work? Do you get stressed when you're not working and find downtime completely wasteful? Have you let your hobbies and passions fall by the wayside, sacrificed to work? Do you feel like you haven't truly earned your title despite numerous degrees and achievements, so you feel pressed to work harder and longer than those around you to prove your worth? Impostor workaholics are actually addicted to the validation that comes from working, not to the work itself. Start training yourself to veer away from external validation. No one should have more power to make you feel good about yourself than you. Even your boss, when they give your project a stamp of approval. On the flip side, learn to take constructive criticism seriously, not personally. So yes, this definitely fits me. Oh no! Peach, you feel called out? Yeah, I'm calling myself out too. And Quirky says, Panther is a bit loud tonight.
Let me see if I can turn that down.
I can't tell because I've already got my other stuff turned down so that I'm not too loud. But I guess maybe I need to turn my other stuff up for me to be louder.
Could be.
All right. Number 3 is the natural genius. Young says, well, the person who wrote a lot of what's in this article is Dr. Young. Dr. Valerie Young categorized imposter syndromes into subgroups, wrote a book, The Secret Thoughts of Successful Women, Why Capable People Suffer from the Imposter Syndrome and How to Thrive in Spite of It. Apparently she's been building on decades of research about these quote-unquote fraudulent feelings. So she says people with the natural genius competence type believe they need to be a natural genius. As such, they judge their competence based ease and speed as opposed to their efforts. I think I was supposed to say based on.
Pretty sure.
In other words, if they take a long time to master something, they feel shame. That is also something I struggle with. These types of imposters set their internal bar impossibly high, just like perfectionists. But natural genius types don't just judge themselves based on ridiculous expectations, they also judge themselves based on getting things right on the first try. When they're not able to do something quickly or fluently, their alarm sounds. Are you used to excelling without much effort? Do you have a track record of getting straight A's or gold stars in everything you do? Were you told frequently as a child that you were the smart one in your family or peer group? Do you dislike the idea of having a mentor because you can handle things on your own? When you're faced with a setback, does your confidence tumble because not performing well provokes a feeling of shame? You often avoid challenges because it's so uncomfortable to try something you're not great at. Definitely.
I was saying, except for that last bullet point, that sounds like me. I seek out challenges though because I guess I like to beat myself up.
So, well, I definitely know that this can end up being a broad spectrum of scenarios that fits a lot of people. But I know that imposter syndrome can be universal and it can hit anybody, anywhere, anytime. To move past this for the natural genius one, try seeing yourself as a work in progress. Accomplishing great things involves lifelong learning and skill building for everyone, even the most confident people. Rather than beating yourself up when you don't reach your impossibly high standards, identify specific changeable behaviors that you can improve over time. For example, if you want to have more impact at the office, it's much more productive to focus on honing your presentation skills than swearing off speaking up in meetings is something you're just not. And yeah, just I believe that kind of goes well with the setting of achievable goals that we talked about several weeks ago. Like instead of setting an impossible high bar, then set little bitty ones that you know you can achieve. I think that kind of helps with it. The next one is called the soloist. Sufferers who feel as though asking for help reveals their phoniness are what Dr. Young calls soloists. It's okay to be independent, but not to the extent that you refuse assistance so that you can prove your worth. This was one that I dealt with for a very long time. Not sure if this applies to you? Ask yourself these questions. Do you firmly feel that you need to accomplish things on your own? I don't need anyone's help. Does that sound like you? You frame requests in terms of the requirements of the project rather than your needs as a person. I guess I still go into that. Realize there's no shame in asking for help when you need it. If you don't know how to do something, ask a coworker. If you can't figure out how to solve a problem, seek advice from a supportive supervisor or even a career coach. Now, I know most of these are centered around jobs, but I know imposter syndrome can flow further into other types of your life, like relationships, friendships, things like that. The expert. Experts measure their competence based on what and how much they know or can do. Believing they will never know enough, they fear being exposed as inexperienced or unknowledgeable. This is the one that I struggle with the absolute most, especially at work. Do you shy away from applying to job postings unless you meet every single educational requirement? Are you constantly seeking out trainings or certifications because you think you need to improve your skills in order to succeed?
That's me.
What was that?
The one you're describing right now, that one's me.
Even if you've been in your role for some time, can you relate to feeling like you still don't know enough? Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you shudder when someone says you're an expert? I don't shudder, but I immediately dismiss it.
I have an oh shit moment.
I need to
Like,
turn
they're
you
gonna
up.
ask me to do stuff.
Let me turn you up some more. All right, Gray, go ahead and say that again.
I wouldn't call it shudder, but the only thing that I could describe it as is an oh shit moment, where it's like, now I have to, hey, I have to, show what I know and what if I'm wrong and
And live
all
up
that
to that
sort of stuff.
expectation that they just put on you.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's true that there's always more to learn. Striving to bulk up your skill set can certainly help you make strides professionally and keep you competitive in the job market. But taken too far, the tendency to endlessly seek out more information can actually be a form of procrastination. Start practicing just-in-time learning. This means acquiring a skill when you need it. For example, if your responsibilities change, rather than hoarding knowledge for false comfort. Mentoring junior colleagues or volunteering can be a great way to discover your inner expert. When you share what you know, it not only benefits others, but also helps you heal your fraudulent feelings. And she closes in with, no matter the specific profile, if you struggle with confidence, you're far from alone. Take one example. Studies suggest 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their career. If you've experienced it at any point in your career, you've at one point or another chalked up your accomplishments to chance, charm, connections, or another external factor. How unfair and unkind is that? Take today as your opportunity to start accepting and embracing your capabilities. And again, this is an article that I found while looking up definitions and doing further research on imposter syndrome for tonight's stream. And I really like that it listed things out in specific ways, because there is never a blanket statement for one person's issues, one person's struggles, other than we're all messed up, but that's okay.
No. Well, the one part of that that really resonates with me is chalking up one's achievements to charm. Like, there's a running joke that both me and Setsu, Joker, the whole reason we've gotten as far as we have in life is that we happen to roll a natural 20 on charisma. So all the other stats didn't really matter.
Oh no. Yeah, I struggle with imposter syndrome in most aspects of my life, and I realized that in the last couple of days. I do have a lot of insecurity, just in general, with a lot of things: relationships, family, friendships, work, physical, mental capabilities. And unfortunately, I do tend to slip into a downward spiral sometimes when I have these major setbacks. And I went on a small rant or release in the Discord server for the Sanctuary and kind of spilled what was on my mind for a while. And a lot of that does chalk up to various forms of imposter syndrome, but it also fits with one of my fears, which is an actual phobia called athazagoraphobia. I learned of that when I got the Sean Koss It's All in Your Head art book. And one, he's a fantastic artist and does not sugarcoat mental health, and also is a firm supporter of mental health awareness as well. So once I learned what athazagoraphobia really was, which is the fear of being abandoned, forgotten, left behind type of thing, and also a fear of forgetting, it really hit home. And I finally had a name for it. Didn't help, but I had a name. So there's that. And anytime somebody new comes into my group of friends, anytime we get a new coworker, my first thought is a mix of imposter syndrome and my phobia. Like, oh, I'm being replaced. I wonder how long it's going to take. And that usually sits for weeks at a time. Anytime I'm told that, hey, I got a new friend, I'm going to hang out, okay, I'm never going to see this person again. I know it's not true, but that's what my thoughts immediately go to.
Alicia's not crying.
What was that?
That was background noise. I don't worry so much about being replaced, but I do worry about being left behind. So it's not really kind of not really the same feeling. It doesn't relate to somebody else showing up. But like when you said imposter theory or imposter syndrome in the first place, one of the first things that came to mind was that entire concept of, eventually they're going to realize how much I suck, and then they're going to be like, oh wait, no, we got to go over here now.
Yeah. And yeah, it falls into way more than just in the workplace. It may have started as an idea that only, lurked around in the workplace, but there's so many more aspects of somebody's life that it can sneak in. And again, anxiety, depression, it just makes you so much more vulnerable to any of these other issues that most people don't ever relate to it.
Hey,
Hey, what's up?
jumping in for a little bit of it, listening in. I have definitely, I'd say I definitely have some amount of imposter syndrome on. It's somewhere between. Well, it started as what was a natural genius archetype into the. Oh wait, I actually don't. I don't actually know anything. I've just been telling people that I know everything for a while, and the fear is getting found out that I don't secretly already know everything.
Yeah.
And I've definitely been working on that, particularly in the past few months, of it being okay to say, hey, I don't know this. Can you tell me what that is? And I don't know what how to do that. I don't know. You just use an acronym. What is it? What does that mean? I don't recognize it. And be able to admit that I don't know everything. And it's that as with everything, it's definitely a work in progress. But yeah, I definitely grew up with everything was easy, everything came naturally, right up until it didn't. And then, oh God, what do I do now? No one must know.
Yeah, I get that.
And then I started hiding the fact that things weren't easy and that I wasn't getting things done, and let problems that could have been very easily fixed build up for weeks until I couldn't hide it anymore. And all of a sudden, what have you been doing for the last 6 weeks? Not getting things done? Well, now it's too late to correct.
Yeah. And that's another problem, is once you start trying to hide it, it just snowballs. And it becomes harder and harder to admit whatever fault you may have done, or that you had questions or weren't sure, weren't comfortable asking, or things like that, because
it hits the point of it's been so long that I feel embarrassed that to ask it now, because I should already know this at this point.
I still do that to this day. And in the chat, we've got Peach. I've started not acknowledging new people because I fear getting attached to them. Ooh, that's interesting. That's almost a complete opposite of, is it like, I want to be sure I understand this. Is this like when you say attached to them, like you don't want to get too attached in an emotional level, a simple friendship level, to where if they do leave, you don't get hurt? Is that more what it is?
I don't know if it's anything like some of the issues that I've had over the years. It could be kind of that entire concept of not really seeing people, not being able to allow yourself to see people as real for quite some time, until it's finally proven to you, for whatever criteria you need, that they're actually going to continue to exist and be. It's like it's sort of a weird subset of abandonment syndrome.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, like they couldn't want to actually be talking to you, kind of thing.
Maybe, but I know like my version of it was a little extreme for a while there. Like, I had trouble believing that I existed for a period of time, because I seemed to not be making an impression on other people. And when I finally solidified that I did in fact exist, I came to the conclusion that other people therefore didn't exist, because they weren't constant. Because eventually they would stop being a part of my life and I would never hear from them again. So that meant that they couldn't have existed because I'm clearly real. So where did they go? And that's its whole other that's its whole other thing. But I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that coming up with today's discussion as kind of a counterpoint.
Definitely. Well, I know we had a few more people join in the Discord chat, so if you have anything that you want to share, please feel free. I think I saw Hydro Girl in there. I saw Darn It.
Shout outs or call outs?
I do have some shout outs that I'd like to give. For those of you who follow me on Twitter or Twitch, or yeah, on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, the person who is responsible for helping me get started in streaming, I would love to give a huge shout out to them, and that is the first name on the list of my shout outs. It's Spanner in the Works. They were my producer for a little while, got me started, showed me the ropes, and has gone on to continue with his DJ videos on YouTube and has been absolutely phenomenal getting his stuff really picked up. It's great to watch. It's a therapy thing for him, just like this art thing is therapy for me. And yeah, just go give him a like, follow, whatever. There's also the Tower of Issa. They are the wonderfully talented person who helped create my VTuber avatars. So definitely want to give a shout out to them. Kay Appleby helped with my banner and may or may not be assisting further with some other things. I don't know. Haven't quite gotten a chance to talk for a while, and I've been struggling with my own mental health this past week. Kitsue, I will be doing another guest appearance on her stream in the future, possibly. I don't know. It might be this Friday.
She was saying hopefully this week.
Yeah. And then there's DPS, also known as Dragon Panther Studios. So, Panther, if you want, you can give a little blurb.
Yeah, man. Dragon Panther Studios trying to bring a new wave of old people, mostly at this point, to the internet. But no, just reaching out, doing the sort of stuff that we're doing on the stream tonight. Mental health awareness topics. My streams are usually more quiet because I don't have a cool panel of awesome people to talk to, but I do try and get into things. We've got Setsu Steel on YouTube, who is recently getting into a lot of VR stuff and is also talking about his own experiences, traveling the country, hitchhiking and doing that. And then the dragon himself from Dragon Panther Studios has not been streaming lately, but is going to be trying to get back to it real soon. So if anybody wants to check that out, come to dragonpantherstudios.com. All of our information is there, including our GoFundMe. We are really trying to do a fundraiser right now because we have spent a couple of $1,000s on equipment trying to get this going. So anyways, yeah, that's it.
And then, of course, my buddy Gray with The Sanctuary, if you want to give a little blurb about The Sanctuary.
Well, at this point, I think the Sanctuary has become almost a group project, but it's a place for all the nerds, the geeks, the goths, the punks, the metalheads, just the island of broken toys, I guess is what you would call it. The Kingsters. It's just a nice, safe, fun community.
And a reminder to anybody who wants to join the Discord server, it is an 18 and up server, but we do have a safe spaces location. We have monthly game night, and monthly movie nights, and then weekly game nights. Let me go ahead and get another link in here. There you go. Okay. So does anybody else have any experiences with imposter syndrome or, anything similar? I know it's kind of a very specific topic, and not everybody would.
There, I mean, I've got a couple of experiences with it. I mean, there are people who probably don't see it in exactly this way, but I've definitely seen signs of that in, not just in the workplace, like you said, but just in a lot of personal life things. There is a person that I know, and of course, no dropping of names, but this person has a lot of difficulty with always needing to be a people pleaser to the point of getting themselves stressed out and very frustrated, but is continuing to keep up their efforts at doing so, even at their own detriment, because they feel like if they don't keep that up, then other people will maybe see them as not worth as much. And I don't know if that necessarily ties directly in with the archetypes that were spelled out, but it definitely does feel, again, to be that sort of thing that even when that person is praised for doing that, that person usually pushes off that praise and doesn't seem to feel like they deserve it. And generally, I mean, oftentimes will take that praise as encouragement to do more.
I feel called out. No.
I mean, I say this person, it's a lot of people, but I mean,
Yes,
your mileage may vary, but it may resemble the situation.
Yes, I definitely used to be nothing but a people pleaser to the point where I would go broke trying to buy my friends, in essence. I would be giving gifts to everybody constantly. I would, give rides to everybody. I wouldn't accept any gas money for it. I would cook for people. I did everything I could to have friends and to keep them. And unfortunately, it ended up pushing some of them away. Uh, and I thought that it had to do with me not doing enough for a long time. But
Yep.
it also helped to weed out those who weren't actual friends but just were using me to get free stuff.
That's, I mean, which is good. It's, the side effects don't always have to be negative.
Right? But yes, whomever this people pleaser person is, and Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. But yeah, eventually, I hope that it happens to you as well as it did for me. Eventually, you'll see that there's not as much reward for the effort put in than it would be if you were taking care of yourself better and praising yourself better. The one person you can
Yes.
always please is yourself.
It's something that I had to learn throughout my life. I'm still bad when it comes to money. But, if I have money and somebody needs a thing, I'm usually like, oh, here's whatever you need.
Same.
But I never have money, so that helps. But but I had to get myself out of the vein of feeling like I absolutely had to fill certain roles or put in certain work to do certain things if it took away my ability to stay stable. Because if I was broken, there was nothing I really could effectively do for other people. I could still go through the motions as much as I felt like was necessary, but it wasn't going to be effective or have the needed, that it wouldn't actually be helpful if I was just going through the motions.
Right. Anybody else here a people pleaser? Raise your hand.
I can
Gray
neither
stopped.
confirm nor deny.
I was gonna say I think Gray stopped a long time ago.
It has lessened, I won't lie.
And for those of
You wanted more from me? No.
Wait, what?
You wanted more from me? No.
No. Anybody in the chat room, if you want to share anything, feel free. Again, our topic tonight is on imposter syndrome. However, it can branch out. We've got people pleasing as an effect of imposter syndrome, making sure that you're always in the right with people, making them feel good, helps make you feel good, but in the not so healthy way. Sacrificing yourself too much for others in order to feel accepted is a form of imposter syndrome. Because in line with suffering so much and putting your own needs aside to prove that you are worth it, that falls into the category of, I think, what was it, a soloist? Something in there? I already closed the link. One of those categories. But with a different topic of it being at work.
Kind of to elaborate on that, taking it from work and putting it in a personal life, doing that could actually be really devastating. Just like where you, I guess, devote so much to someone who just, in essence, doesn't care, or is just using that. I'd say, like, I have had partners in the past that were not serial users per se, but it's like they only seem to reach out when they needed something, and I'm being like a fixer, or like, that person that wanted to always do things for others. I was always like, yeah, sure, I can help out. Or if I just didn't have anything going on, I could do that. But then I realized after a while that that's the only time they ever called is when they needed something. So, it's like you just kind of, I guess, relegate them to that area in your life. But whenever I needed something from them, it was never really returned. So that could actually cause some like deep resentment for the person. And if you're like in a serious relationship with somebody, sometimes you don't even see it until it's like way too far gone. Constantly waiting for them to finish like a phase of their life that they're working on, or they're trying to get fixed and everything. And it's kind of like, okay, I'll take care of everything else. Just do that and meet me when you're done with it, and we can move on. But before they even get done with it, they're like, hey, I found something that I kind of want to pursue and go this way instead of being with you. I'm like, but that's not really fair to me because I'm still in a waiting pattern. So how about finish that and come back? So that's just kind of like my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I totally feel that. I have, I'm trying to think which relationship it was that. Pretty much dating a leech is the best way you can describe it as, and not in the financial sense, even though it does kind of slide into that, but an emotional leech. And I don't like using that term because it is quite a harsh term, and they may be suffering from their own mental illness and just needed help but don't know how to achieve it or get about to do it or ask for help, but they still end up draining you of emotional points, social points, spoons, whatever you want to call them, and that's all they ever want from you is just someone to bitch to, someone to gripe to. I forgot which stream I was on. Someone to complain to all the time. Yeah, I'll put some money in the swear jar. And they just drain you. Every time you talk to them, every time you see them, you end up trying to avoid them for a while. And it starts becoming a toxic scenario. So it's hard to get out of those situations, especially if it's like a relationship or a really close friend or something. But also you need to think about your own personal health and mental health.
Yeah, I've actually kind of evolved into that at work because I always end up being the vent to guy, where people just need a vent or like, complain about something or get off their chest, or they just, really just want to, vent. I seem to be the person they always come to. Mm-hmm. So I've grown to that part where now, where like if I get a phone call, it's like, or if I get that message that, hey, do you have time for a phone call? If I'm not up for it, my response is, if you just need to vent, I'm not here for that right now. It's like I can't do that at this point in time. Okay. We can come back later, but for now, it's like I need to vent. It's my turn. So, okay. It's kind of, I've started kind of, I guess, standing up for that rather than just saying, okay, come on, because it's exhausting, especially when you're the only person on the team that everyone keeps coming to complain about something else, that it's either within the team or out of the team. And, I just want to reach out and say, okay, if you have a problem with person B on our team, then let me bring person B in so you guys can work it out. Because, both of you are complaining about each other to me and getting anything done. So, yeah, it's taken a long time of just kind of getting, I guess, worn out and saying, okay, now I need to kind of put on my my oxygen mask first before I deal with you guys.
I like that saying. I really do. It's a really good way of putting it. And I also like that, I like hearing that you're standing up for your own mental health when you need to. And a lot of people who suffer from anxiety, depression, especially anxiety, find it very difficult to tell people no. And it can cause us to think that it's going to ruin a friendship, ruin a relationship if you say no once in a while, or at work. And it's really important to be able to say, hey, I've got a bit much on my plate right now, feeling a little overwhelmed. When can I, can I postpone this for another day? Especially if you've got a lot of high priority projects on your table already, and then they throw another one on there when somebody else is also capable of doing it. You should feel free to be able to say, hey, I've got this, and this that I'm still working on. Is there any way this can be delegated elsewhere, or could this be placed on a hold until I get through with such and such? And same goes with talking to friends and family and relationships. If somebody needs some time just to take a mental health day, talk about it. I mean, all of it still boils down to communication, but it's okay to say no if you really need it. Not just, it's a way to stand up for yourself and your own mental health.
It's definitely something that they talk about in anger management classes, like being able to take a time out is one of the best ways to make sure that a conversation stays helpful and, functional.
And that's good to know too. Anybody else have their 2 cents to throw in on this pile?
Is everybody real broke?
I mean, we don't have to stick on topic, but
No, it's just such a pinpoint subject. I don't have a whole lot to contribute. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, how about this? Does anybody have any ideas for next week's topic? Because I'm starting to run short.
Tacos.
What was it?
Tacos, man.
Tacos for mental health?
Tacos.
I'll do tacos for mental health. I'll make tacos for mental health.
Well, I do stream on Taco Tuesdays.
It's kind of a rule that we never do Taco Tuesday on actual Tuesday.
We do tacos and burritos.
Trying to keep it PG, so I do tacos whenever the hell I want.
Pretty much. I have a shirt that says Taco Tuesday, and I never wear it on Tuesdays either. But when I do wear it, it's a fair bet that we're probably going to have tacos.
Have you covered attachment styles?
Say that again?
Attachment styles?
We should super do that. I've got literature on that I'm researching right now, actually.
On different types of attachment?
Yeah, attachment styles. It's how you relate to other people, how you connect to them, how it sets off, that your anxiety type, if you're an isolator, or if you are the anxious, needy, clingy person, which is what I am. I get leechy. I get clingy and leechy and unsure and want reassurance and struggling with that.
good idea. I think you and I should talk about that after the stream, and I can get some good pinpoints to start on some research for it.
Yeah, I could join in with that. Like I said, I have a book that I've been reading, and I've been doing some research on this. So it's handed to me by somebody recently. It's actually, the book was written by my friend's former therapist, and she recommended it as really good reading. It's really dry. It's very she's not a good writer, but she knows what the heck she's talking about, you know?
Very analytical?
No, just very. She was reaching for prose and very clumsy about it.
Ah.
But like the information in it is super solid.
Okay. Well, perhaps I might have a guest host next week.
Nice. Hydra Girl, that was an awesome suggestion. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry. It just happened to fall in line with something I'm doing, and yeah, like I would love to chat about it and hear what you know about it too.
Sure. You're welcome.
Awesome.
That sounds
Super.
fantastic. Yay, Sanctuary's working. But anybody who is part of the Sanctuary, I also posted the link to the different types of imposter syndrome. That's a good place to put down ideas for the stream topics, as well as, just a place to rant and vent. I actually will go ahead and pop in and read an excerpt that I wrote yesterday. Let's see. Okay, I know the truth seems to be staring me right in the face, but true fear mixed with anxiety and depression can lead to the truth being masked by what-if scenarios. What if I'm not good enough? What if they actually don't care? What if this time it's enough to push them away? What if I don't truly belong? What if he doesn't love me? What if I'm being replaced? What if it was never meant to be? What if it all ends tomorrow? What if they actually hate me? What if they're only tolerating me? What if it's just about sex? What if I'm what they're settling for? What if I'm just a phase? What if I never get better? What if it never gets better? These thoughts swim and race on a near constant basis, but rage and shriek whenever a change is perceived, even if it's not a true change. Things like this happen, and this is the imposter syndrome issues that I deal with constantly. Those what-if scenarios, I know, what-ifs are just that, but for some reason they continue to pop up, and the moment I notice the slightest thing, which it could even be just somebody coughing, I mean it's that subtle, and then all of a sudden some negative thought will hit saying, oh great, they're bored, they're just trying to make an excuse to get away, stuff like that. I mean it's silly, but I know it's silly, but at the same time it can really drag me down. And I know that I'm not the only one that has these kind of feelings that just pop up out of nowhere. And this has happened in multiple relationships, it's happened in multiple friendships, with family, and at work, and it is heavily detrimental.
I've got two big things to say on that. First of all, every feeling is valid, even if it comes from an uninformed place or an illogical place. Your feelings are not something that you can or should be trying to control. The only thing you should ever be trying to control is your reaction to those feelings. So as long as you're honest with yourself about how you're feeling and you're aware of where that's putting you, you can generally make a good decision about how to move forward. And that, I think, is one of the most difficult things for a lot of people to do. I don't know. I know that's like been the whole thing I've geared my whole psychological profile on is finding those things. And then the second thing is that feelings of inadequacy, I think, are the most quintessentially human thing that can exist. We all see ourselves through the murkiest of glass. I like even the most arrogant of people that I've met has insecurities that make no sense in the face of the actual facts of their life. And I don't know why that is like the one thing that binds us all together. But that feeling that you're not good enough, or that you're not strong enough, or that you're not big enough, or that you're not anything enough seems to be the one thing that humanity has that no matter who you are or where you are, it's the one thing we can recognize in each other if we're willing to. So.
Thank you very much for that. And if anybody else has anything else to share for the night, let me know. Otherwise, I will crank up the tunes and work on this art. I know it was kind of a pinpoint topic, as you said, Gray, but you know, any topic's good to share. Even if it ends up in crickets at the end of it.
100 years, Rick and Morty, rickandmorty.com.
I'm gonna have to jump off of here and take care of something. I'll be back.
Alright, Gray, I'll see you later.
Yep.
And as always, everybody, thank you so much for sharing, those of you who did share. And those of you who sat and listened, thank you very much for being here. Always appreciated to have listeners, viewers, whatever you want to call it. And hopefully something in tonight's chat has helped somebody out there.
I'm gonna head out for the night.
Alright, thanks for sharing, and I look forward to talking to you again about the topic for next week.
Sure. All right. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Take care. I'm gonna drop, go do family stuff. I'll catch y'all later. Bye.
Alright, it was great having you. Thanks for sharing.
Ditto.
What's up, yo?
Hi, is that Vash?
Yes,
Good to have you. You just tuning in?
little bit. Had to adult a little bit, i.e., food and crop shit. How about you?
I'm doing okay. We just finished the majority of the topic of the stream. It was imposter syndrome. Are you familiar with that?
Sort of, kind of. I read the little thing you posted rather quickly and skimmed it a little bit.
Have you ever been afflicted by it?
I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
I know that
Things you
also a big part of the topic was that it doesn't necessarily only follow issues with work, but can spill over into relationships, romantic, familial, friendly, the all over feeling of inadequacy, things like that.
yeah. Yeah, I'd have to think about it. What you making?
I am still working on my pixel art piece. It's a paint with diamonds piece that is a gift for a really good friend of mine. And I am excited to get this finished
I bet.
because it is almost done. I've got that little bit to go. I thought I'd get it done tonight, but I'm not sure.
Let me guess. It's the size of a small coffee table.
No, I mean, this is on my desk,
Oh,
my computer desk. About 2.5 feet wide, maybe 1.5 feet tall.
that's a lot of dots.
Yeah, and they're all very tiny.
I mean, yeah.
That's how small that is on my finger. Now it won't get off my finger.
Well.
So how have you been?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy to have 2 days, 2 days in a row off starting today.
That does sound good.
Oh man, so many people coming to watch stupid Batman. It's not stupid. It's great. It's great. It's just ah. Oh,
You can only watch a movie so many times, right?
allegedly.
There it is.
Man. Okay. I mean, when we did when we did the last Star Wars movie, and I watched it twice. Well, one and a half in the span of a 24-hour period because we were open for 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was not a good time. The paycheck was fun, but it wasn't a good time.
But was it really worth it?
I mean, it was a pretty fat paycheck, so yeah.
Well, be careful you don't fall into the workaholic category just to get a big paycheck.
It's a little late for that.
Ah, I spilled. Again.
It's a little late for that, unfortunately.
There. It was much easier picking them up this time.
I bet those are not fun to deal with.
What was that?
When those get away from you, some things. This thing, hang on. My microphone screw up again.
It's a little muffled, I will say that.
Hang on.
There we go.
Oh, there it goes. Stupid headset. Anyway.
Yep, pretty quiet now. Just finishing up my time.
Fair enough.
I streamed till about 8:30, and it's 8:30 now. I thought I'd get to finish more, but I was too busy reading.
I mean, reading's important. Don't.
Well, I was reading the article for the stream, so that was pretty cool.
Gotcha.
I like that. And I've got to do some research for next week's. get in touch with Hydro Girl and Panther and go over what was it called? Like forms of attachment, I think.
Well, there's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I didn't even. I mean, there's a lot I don't know, obviously. So I look forward to learning more about that kind of stuff because it's all important, not just the stuff that I'm afflicted with and familiar with. So,
Yeah.
alrighty, well, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night here. It was great having everybody to participate, to join in the chat, to join in the Discord. Those of you who shared, thank you so much, and I hope it helped you alleviate some negative feelings and possibly help somebody else learn how to cope with theirs. So, again, check out Spanner in the Works, The Tower of Issa, K. Appleby, Kitsue, and Dragon Panther Studios. And as always, I'm your host, Living Dead Cat, and I will sketch you later.